It loves you. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks. What's your name? Jeff. Nice to meet you, Jeff. Please tell her I said thanks for watching. I will. Can I get a picture? You know, for my mum? Thought you said it was your wife. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just grocery shopping today. His face changed. Well, even if I can't take a picture with you, that doesn't stop me taking pictures of you. He whipped out his phone and followed her to the deli counter, snapping away while she looked at the turkey. F the turkey, she thought, hurrying to the checkouts. He followed her there too. She got into the queue. Before her were rows and rows of magazines and newspapers, and on all of them, under the most shocking and disgusting headlines, was her. The other customers noticed as well. They looked at the magazines, looked at her, and now they too pulled out their phones, like zombies. Meg caught two cashiers sharing a horrible smile. After paying for her groceries, she walked outside, straight into a group of four men with their iPhones aimed at her. She kept her head down, rushed up Kensington High Street. She was nearly home when a horse-drawn carriage came rolling out of Kensington Palace Gardens. Some sort of parade. The palace gate was blocked. She was forced back along the main road, where the four men picked up the scent again and chased her all the way to the main gate, screaming her name. When she finally got inside Knockcott, she'd phoned her best girlfriends, each of whom asked, "Is he worth this, Meg? Is anyone worth this?" I put my arms around her, said I was sorry, so sorry. We just held each other until I slowly became aware of the most delicious smells. I looked around. Hang on, you mean after all that, you still made lunch? I wanted to feed you before I left. Chapter 21. 3 weeks later, I was getting an HIV test at a drop-in clinic in Barbados with Rihanna. Royal life. The occasion was the upcoming World AIDS Day, and I'd asked Rihanna at the last minute to join me, help raise awareness across the Caribbean. To my shock, she'd said yes. November 2016. Important day, vital cause, but my head wasn't in the game. I was worried about Meg. She couldn't go home because her house was surrounded by PAPs. She couldn't go to her mother's house in Los Angeles because it too was surrounded by PAPs. Alone, adrift, she was on break from filming, and it was Thanksgiving time. So I'd reached out to friends who had a house sitting empty in Los Angeles, and they'd generously offered it to her. Problem solved, for the moment. Still, I was feeling worried and intensely hostile towards the press, and I was now surrounded by press. The same raw reporters. Gazing at them all, I thought, complicit. Then the needle went to my finger. I watched the blood spurt and remembered all the people, friends and strangers, fellow soldiers, journalists, novelists, schoolmates, who'd ever called me and my family blue bloods. That old shorthand for aristocracy, for royalty. I wondered where it had come from. Someone said our blood was blue because it was colder than other people's, but that couldn't be right, could it? My family always said it was blue because we were special, but that couldn't be right either. Watching the nurse channel my blood into a test tube, I thought, red, just like everyone else's. I turned to Rihanna and we chatted while I waited the result. Negative. Now I just wanted to run, find somewhere with Wi-Fi, check on Meg. But it wasn't possible. I had a full slate of meetings and visits, a raw schedule that didn't leave much wiggle room. And then I had to hurry back to the rusty merchant navy ship, taking me around the Caribbean. By the time I reached the ship, late that night, the onboard Wi-Fi signal was barely a pulse. I was only able to text Meg, and only if I stood on the bench in my cabin, phone pressed against the porthole. We were connected, just long enough for me to learn that she was safe at my friend's house. Better yet, her mother and father had been able to sneak in and spend Thanksgiving with her. Her father had brought an armful of tabloids, however, which he inexplicably wanted to talk about. That didn't go well, and he'd ended up leaving early. While she was telling me the story, the Wi-Fi went out. The merchant ship chugged on to its next destination. I put down the phone and stared out of the porthole at the dark sea. Chapter 22. Meg, driving home from set, noticed 5 cars following her. Then they started chasing her. Each car was driven by a man, shady looking. wolfish. It was winter, Canada, so the roads were ice. Plus, the way the cars were spinning around her, cutting her off, running red lights, tailgating her, or also trying to photograph her, she felt sure she was going to be in a crash. She told herself not to panic, not to drive erratically, not to give them what they wanted. Then she phoned me. I was in London in my own car, my bodyguard driving, and her tearful voice brought me right back to my childhood, back to Balmoral. She didn't make it, darling boy. I pleaded with Meg to stay calm, keep her eyes on the road. My air controller training took over. I talked her to the nearest police station. As she got out of the car, I could hear, in the background, Paps following her to the door. Come on, Megan, give us a smile. Click, click, click. She told the police what was happening, begged them for help. They had sympathy, or said they did. But she was a public figure, so they insisted there was nothing to be done. She
Exactly.
went back to her car.
Police
Paps
are
filming her again,
useless.
and I guided her